Welcome, everybody. This is the Fall Line with KAS and Company. I'm Dave Capron. I'm here with my partner, Angelo Ross, and we are here today, which is going to be a really awesome podcast. We're here with Leslie Baker-Brown. Leslie is the global leader for the Women to Women Project and also the North American Marketing Manager. So we're super excited to have you here today, Leslie. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Always excited to talk about the women's program that we're running.
Yeah, I think there's been some exciting things. You just got back from Europe, right?
Yeah, I did. First trip over in quite a while. So it was great to connect with everybody and get things rolling over there.
That's awesome. Hey, Angelo, how's it going down there in PA? Is it raining?
It's rainy. It's cold. It's miserable. We love it. It's 40 and rain, and that's what we thrive on.
That's where you thrive. Well, there was snow at elevation up here. So the Kangamangas Highway had snow this week up on top, and I think Cannon and a few other spots definitely up in Mount Washington. So hopefully it's coming soon. We'll see what happens. But we're here with Leslie, and we always like to start at the beginning. I think our listeners really like to know where things started. And I don't know if a lot of our listeners will know the incredible history of your ski background. And I want to know, though, how did you learn? Was it from family? Did you take lessons? How old were you? Is it even something you can remember those first lessons?
So my dad was a passionate skier. And I think he got me on snow probably when I was around 3 years old. I grew up in Massachusetts, but we would commute every weekend to New Hampshire. Started out at a little tiny ski area, King Ridge, which no longer exists. And then we basically, I honestly don't know if I took a lesson, but we got involved in the race program. So started racing, within that program, probably when I was 6 or 7 with the little guys, and then just moved up from there. And then we moved over to Sunapee, and I was in the race program there all the way through high school.
Yeah, I remember King Ridge through junior high and high school race there. And that was where the lodge was at the top and you skied down.
Yeah, upside down mountain.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was an interesting place.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of racing in your background, and how did that take off through your younger years, through junior high and high school?
Yeah, I loved ski racing. My dad was a FIS TD and my sister ski raced. So we just kept going and had some great successes. I raced in World Cups at Stratton and Waterville when I was 16. I raced all the way through high school. And then I had applied to Middlebury College, but took a year off after high school to see what I could do, see if I could make the ski team. I got injured later that season, and I had told myself that if I didn't make it that year, I was going to head to Middlebury and compete for Middlebury College. So I had a great year off, but it didn't turn out the way I had hoped. But Middlebury was an awesome experience. Had a blast there. So it all worked out.
Yeah. So was it all racing through junior high, high school, or was it kind of run away from the gates at times and free ski and hit the trees? Or
the East Coast, there's not a whole lot of there's some great skiing. I mean, I would ski a lot of gates. I was one of the ones that after the race would go out and ski the mountain afterwards. I wouldn't sit in the lodge for sure. I loved free skiing as well, but yeah, it was pretty focused on racing. I went to a public high school in Massachusetts. I did not attend an academy because I really liked my coach at the time at Sunapee. I missed our high school was it started in 10th grade. I missed a full year's worth of days of high school for ski racing. So I was on the road a lot. I almost didn't graduate because I didn't fulfill my gym credit. Go figure.
Oh, I needed that gym credit.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I was making up gym classes my senior spring. I was like, this is ridiculous.
Oh God.
Yeah.
So, and Middlebury was pretty fun. That must have been pretty incredible. I know, was it 82 or 83 was the GS national champ?
Yeah. I was up at Stowe, and I won the giant slalom. So yeah, that was pretty exciting. 3-time All-American. Didn't make it my senior year, unfortunately, but I thought 3-time was pretty good.
And you were also invited. I had never heard of it before. The University Games in Bulgaria.
Yeah, yeah, that was my junior spring headed over there. That was quite an experience skiing in Bulgaria for sure. It was a really cool trip though.
Ah, and how were the years? I know you were on the women's professional tour for about 5 years.
Yeah, so after I got out of Middlebury, I just didn't want to stop. I just sort of had to keep going. So there was a women's pro circuit at the time, and I thought I'd do it for a year or two, and ended up doing it for 5. So taught windsurfing in the summer, taught some adult ski racing camps in between races in the winter, and just followed that tour for 5 years. So that was got to travel all over the United States. Another great experience because of ski racing.
That's awesome. Angela, it just makes our background look so small, looking at all the accomplishments.
It sure does. But you know what? It doesn't take much. But she really went overboard on making us look smaller.
That's right. Pretty amazing. It's awesome. It's neat because I think a lot of folks, know you from Blizzard. I did, and until I started looking back, I knew you had a big ski background in racing, but I didn't know how big. Because I think the biggest stat that was amazing to me was they listed when you were inducted into the Middlebury Hall of Fame at the college that it talked about like 70 some percent you finished in the top 5 of your races, and I don't know, it's like 30 or 40% in the top 3 or something. That, I mean, the consistency was amazing.
Yeah, it was a pretty good run there for sure. So college circuit was a blast. It was serious, but it still was. It was a team event. You were rooting for your teammates, which I really loved. And I think just that extra support was just really great to be working with each other. And racing is such an individual sport that to have it be a team event where you had to have 3 of the 5 people finish to count, you're rooting for your last skier all the way through the race. So it was great.
So you've been with Technica for a long time, and Technica Group, and then involved into the Blizzard Tecnica. You've been there for, I think, over 30 years now. Can you explain a little bit what your role now is with the global leader for the Women to Women project and the North American manager, Blizzard Tecnica?
Yeah. So I did. I started over 30 years ago at Technica in marketing. I've been in marketing for the full time, and it's, I was like, how can you stay with the same company for so long? Number one, it's a great company. They treat women well. But the marketing has changed so much. I mean, we barely had computers. There was no internet. There was no social media. So I'm constantly, learning and changing. And back in 2015, our parent company, which is headquartered in Italy, started to talk to me about, really tapping into the women's market and promoting women in skiing. So in 2015, we started the Women to Women program. And we began it with focus groups. We had a European focus group. We gathered some, industry experts in the US and Canada to start a North American focus group. We have some athletes, ambassadors, shop owners, a master boot fitter. So we have a variety of women in the industry that we get together with once or twice a year. My focus starting was to make sure we talked about product and product for women. What's working, what isn't, how can we improve product for women? So that was the initial focus. It still is a huge focus for us. We get, a variety of different women testing our products as prototypes roll off the line in Mittersill, Austria. We have a group over there that will get them on snow, give feedback to the designers and product managers. But we also talk about messaging and marketing and how can we empower more women to get into this sport? How can we make it more comfortable for them? How can, we educate them so they can take control of their own skiing experiences? So.
And I'm interested, I know it started with the focus group you said in Europe and America. Did you find kind of the same things, or were there some differences or between America and Europe in terms of what the women wanted? Or
so, country to country, the product mix and product selection is different. Italy and Austria, it's a lot of just front side carving. North America, the Scandinavian countries, it gets a little more free ride. France is actually a little more free ride, but aside from the product, I have found that women are looking for the same thing. Women are looking to be educated and knowledgeable, and to build communities and to ski with other women. So that's not so different. Which at first, a lot of the Europeans are like, oh, women over here, they don't care about technology or anything like that. But I'm finding that's not true. I just got back from a trip where I went to France and met with 8 of their female ambassadors. I skied with a couple of our German and Austrian ambassador and athletes, and we talk about these things, and they're starved for knowledge and information and understanding their equipment to be able to pick their own equipment and not rely on their significant other or the shop employee who may not listen to them and get them on the right product. So I have found that to be common throughout the world in this process.
Yeah. And I think that kind of leads into what you're saying, they want more education. I know that last year started the Women to Women Education Scholarship Program was implemented. And I'm just curious if you could explain how that started and how women can find out about it and how they can apply.
Yeah, so that was a huge initiative for me, super important. I just feel like education and knowledge and helping women make that next step and become leaders in their specific area, whether they're looking to get their level 2 or level 3 PSIA instructor certificate, or they're looking to become a ski patrol, or they want some avalanche education. It was super important to me to get more women being able to take these classes, and the finances of it can be a roadblock for a lot of people. It's expensive, the sport's not cheap, equipment's expensive. So we initiated this program last year, and we awarded 15 scholarships in North America and then 2 in Europe to a variety of women. Some are going for their guide certificate. We had a few, doing their PSIA next level. One, a woman who's in a wheelchair wants to be a handicap instructor. So avalanche level 1, just getting people into it and being safe in the backcountry. So it was super successful. I'm actually having a meeting with all the recipients tonight just to follow up with them and see how their experiences were, if they feel like this is helping them become more of a leader in the outdoors. So other women, if we have other women leading, more women are more likely to participate. So we'll be rolling it out again mid-November. It'll be on our website. We'll definitely, I'm going to work with PSA, NSP, all the avalanche to get the word out, and we'll get that application up around November 19th. Have about a month to apply, and then we'll make the awards in early January.
That's awesome. Angela, I see you're right in there. I figure you have a little something.
Yeah, I was curious, Leslie, what do you find is your best mechanism for education? And is it the same in the US and abroad?
So Europe has been a little slower to roll out this education program, but they're excited. Like I said, I met last week with all of the different distributors over there, and they understand and realize the importance of it. It's a little different because in Europe, they actually, like in France, if they take a ski instructor course, they get it reimbursed by the government. So I think we're looking more towards avalanche safety courses over there, because each country is different with the ski instructor, the way they do it. It's quite a process over there. I think in some countries it's either all or nothing. There's not different levels that you can sort of work through. They really have to take a couple of years and go for it. But I think, education around the world is more and more women want that and the knowledge. So, and getting more, to me, it's important that we see more women in those leadership roles. And the way for them to do that is to get this education and just move up the ladder.
And is it YouTube? Is it social media? Like what do you have the greatest success with getting the word out?
So we have on our website, we have a number of videos, educational type videos that we've put on the website, and they're on YouTube as well, that I think is a good way to get that out there.
Because there's been a pretty big partnership, I think, or I don't know if we could call it an exact partnership, but definitely I can see a real working with PSIA. We heard a lot with Blizzard Tecnica, and I know we just had the 3-part webinar series go out with PSA that you were part of, and Brenna, I think, has finished it. That 3-part has finished. I think Brenna did the last one on October 6th, and we had a I'm not going to try to pronounce. I know you can. The person that was the boot fitter on the middle part, the second one there, was with Blizzard Tecnica. But can you speak a little bit about the partnership that's been forged there a little bit with PSA and that 3-part webinar that was put out?
Yeah. So Lauren Cabe at PSA reached out with, wanting to partner on some educational webinars, and we came up with the concept of let's not just do one, because I've done these in retail shops with consumer events. I did one last year with CSA because of COVID. I did a Zoom webinar. So I did about an hour talk on skis and boots, basic. On the ski side, like what is rocker, what is side cut, what is radius, what does it all mean? What does it mean to performance of a ski? What does it mean to how you ski and what you might like in a ski? How to buy a ski boot, how it should fit, customization options. So I did about an hour-long webinar with CSA last year. About 150 women participated. So started to talk to PSA about doing that same concept with them, but then thought, what if we did more than just one? So the first one I did, again, we have set up a great Zoom room at our headquarters because of COVID for presenting products to our retailers. And I was able to use that to really be able to, show. We had about over 200 participants in the PSA one. The second session was with Sam Tischendorf, and she is a certified Australian podiatrist, self-proclaimed foot geek, but the only instructor for the Master Fit boot fitters. So she did a deeper dive on boot fitting, boot issues, how you can customize your boot for an hour. And then the third one was Brenna, about teaching to women, focusing on using fear as a positive tool. So each of them were about an hour long. We had over 200 participants on each one, super successful. And I'm excited to work with PSA moving forward to bring more of these informational webinars to the crew. So it was really fun.
That was an awesome program that I've heard, and I believe that those were recorded. So if people still want to go in and join that, I think at some point we'll have it up on the national website, and I encourage people to do that because that was definitely received very well.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've had Brenna on the podcast here twice, and we definitely wanted to have her back again. She's an absolute great ambassador for skiing and for Blizzard Tecnica, I know. So she's out of training now, all the crews out there, and which is pretty neat. We have 7 team members.
Yeah, a lot.
plus one coach. So it's like half the Alpine crew plus the telemark coach is on Blizzard Tecnica. So that's pretty awesome. I know everybody's excited for that.
Yeah.
Probably need a couple more women though. It's just Brenna, right?
I know. And Brenna's awesome. It's cool because we also, her sister Keely is also one of our athletes who runs, Keely Camp for Girls. So those two are amazing sister duo there.
Yeah, we're hoping to have both of them on the podcast again together soon. So we want to talk a little bit about some of the equipment. It's amazing to see how successful the Women Women program has been to create such equipment. And that's what you said. It's about creating product that women want. Can you tell us just a little bit about some of the research and technologies that have been put into the skis and boots that are specific for that women wanted, what women needed, so that they can understand it isn't just, as I know it's been told to us, it's not just putting pink on it and putting some fluff. This is real stuff that's been put into the equipment.
Yeah. So how much time do you have? No, just kidding.
Plenty.
Yeah. So really, on the ski side, if you think about it, a 120, 30, 40 pound woman flexes a ski differently than a 170, 80 pound guy. And there are some areas where, I agree that we don't need necessarily women specific, like in backcountry touring. You can't make it too much lighter without losing the performance that women want as well. But when you get into the skis, like our Bonafide and Brahma that have 2 sheets of metal, they're pretty burly, and you got to have some muscle and weight behind it to flex. That we take a look at those constructions and we think, okay, what can we do to make this, more women specific? So the Black Pearl, which is of the same molds of the Bonafide Brahma, has a completely different construction inside. It has a modified, shorter one sheet of metal, whereas the men's has two. They have the True Blend wood cores, but when you get into, for example, the lower sizes, the smaller sizes, we've adjusted the side cut and radius to follow where the binding mounting point is. And I know a lot of people talk about moving that binding mounting point forward for women. There's sort of two reasons for that. One is that women's boots and shoe size is generally shorter. So because, 23, 24, 5 is probably the norm, whereas a guy's is 27, 26, 27, 28. So already they're accessing the front of the ski easier with their longer boot sole length. So moving that forward, so the women are in pretty much the same position as a guy is on that front of that ski is super critical. So when you do that, if you don't adjust the whole side cut forward, then you're losing that sweet spot of the ski. So we take that into consideration. And again, the interior construction's designed so that women can flex the ski and have a nice smooth flex pattern and access the performance of that ski are super important. That Black Pearl 88, I don't know if you know, has been the best selling ski in the country for like 5 years, 6 years now, maybe, of any ski, unisex or women's specific. So it's pretty cool. And it's shown that, there are women out there that want equipment for them. And like I said, there are some collections that it doesn't make sense to make a women's specific model. And there are also women that need a Bonafide Brahma type ski. They're, super strong and just need a little more ski than what the Black Pearl, for example, will offer. However, the majority of women will benefit from a ski that is designed for them. And then on the boot side, we've done some research on women's stance, center of gravity, our angles and things like that. And Sam Tischendorf does a great job getting into the technicalities of that and where we should be in our boots and boot fits. Women's calves generally sit lower on their legs, so you have to accommodate for that. However, there are women who have super skinny calves. So, we've taken those things into consideration when designing the boots, whether it's the stance, the fit of the liners, the calf shape, things like that. So there's a lot to take into consideration. And the cool thing is working with these focus groups, we've been able to work directly with our product designers in the same room. We have these very concentrated meetings. Like I said, I've got one coming up in 2 weeks in Colorado, and our product manager from Italy is actually going to be able to come over since the border's opening up now. So it'll be cool to have him back in the room with all the women to talk boots. So.
So here's an interesting one I just thought of. Have you found the women have been more interested in their boots or in their skis, or is that an equal focus? Or is it changed from the beginning? They were really focused on boots in terms of I had trouble here, or was it both?
It's both. I mean, at these focus group meetings, we spend a dedicated day on skis and a dedicated day on talking boots. Skis are sexier and more fun. Everybody loves to talk about their skis, but as I say, you date your skis, but you marry your boots. So they've got to fit and they've got to feel good. And, it's an important connection from you to the snow. So they're not as exciting or fun as sexy, but they're just crucial. And I always tell people, if you can only afford to buy one piece of equipment, buy a new pair of boots.
And my boots never leave me if I'm on a plane or something. There, locked on my backpack. I'll travel. I'll send anything but my boots.
Yeah, carry them on the plane, because you can always rent a pair of skis that's pretty decent these days. But finding a boot that fits after you've worked on it and gotten it dialed in is pretty key to a good day out there.
Yeah. So, and one of the things that hit me with the construction of skis is the True Blend, and how we're using that to make sure the skis, you don't get a stiffer ski the shorter you go. It's really neat how the flex is able to be kept in the ski when you get to those shorter skis. And that's a pretty neat technology there.
It's amazing. I mean, it is basically, it's not just one model. It's a new ski at every size, because the way that they've combined the stringers of wood at different lengths. You can't just, normally it's stringers put together all the same, the full length of a ski, and then they just cut it down to size. But with the way the True Blend wood core is built, that the stringers, the harder and softer, there's more of them in the middle. Then as you get to the tip and tail, there's fewer, harder, more softer. So they can't just cut it down. They have to design each length of ski within a model specific with a new core. So it's an amazing technology, and it really, you can feel it at every length of ski. So the size is super critical with these new True Blend cores.
Yeah. In some of the testing, is the same ski, or are we having the women's test different sizes, or are they kind of picking the size that they tend to like? I was just curious if they're getting different sensations, or someone can get on different sizes to see the difference.
Yeah, you can feel it. I mean, there's a big difference, for example, between the Black Pearl 88 and a 177 and a 171. I mean, it's phenomenal. And I think, and even down to a 165. So, and I think what we're finding, for example, in the Bonafide is that I think they can ski a little bit shorter length, because that ski is just built with that really great, that core just makes that flex so accessible. So yeah, it's important, the different size, to take a look at that and see how it feels at each length.
Yeah, I was getting that this week. I've had a couple calls, people looking, and a couple women called this week that PSA members that are like, they want to know about the Phoenix line and the Thunderbird line. And so I know that the Phoenix and Thunderbird line are new this year, and the Phoenix is specified for the women. Can you speak a little bit about those two lines and similarities and differences?
Yeah, so again, this uses the True Blend wood core, which is completely different from the True Blend that you find in the Black Pearl and the Bonafide Brahmas. It's got more of the harder stringers throughout the ski. So because you really need that little bit stiffer for the front side carving ski. But still it has a super smooth flex because of the way we've combined the woods. So again, the Phoenix, taking into consideration at each size, the binding mounting point being moved forward, how that whole side cut and radius is moved forward specifically for women. And then just some different constructions within, whether it's the CA model or the TI model. The TI model does have some metal, but it's different than the men's. So there are some women specific. And then the Phoenix R Pro 14 is very close to the men's, with a few little, the binding mounting point and the radius. So it's a good, great, fun frontside carving, super fun ski.
Yeah. Angelo, I see you. You were writing.
I want to just put in a plug for True Blend for small men too, because like,
I wasn't going to say it myself. I
know, but you were thinking it. But 5'6", 145 with a 23 boot. So yeah. When I learned about True Blend, I just thought, wow, this is terrific, and I think that's just a shameless plug. Leslie, perfect. you mentioned boot fitting. Will you give your consumer event version of how you describe a boot should fit for our listeners?
Yeah, my number one tip is don't buy them online, and don't buy them too big. Everybody, they put it on, it feels too tight, and they don't give it a chance, because it should feel like a glove, a nice firm handshake. You should also shell fit, which is taking the liner out, put your foot in the shell, push your toes so they're brushing the front. You should have 1 to 2 fingers. If you have more than that, it's too big. Liners do pack out. And if you feel like, oh my gosh, this is just killing my bunion, I need to go up a size, don't, because if it fits around the rest of your foot, customization can happen. They can punch that hot spot out. But again, buying too big is the biggest culprit. And then people complain, I'm losing my toenails, my boots must be too small. And it's actually probably because they're too big, because they're sliding around and sliding forward and banging their toes. And this happens with women. I mentioned the larger lower leg issue. So sometimes women can't, because of that cap, they can't get their foot even into the bottom of the boot, even though it's the right size, so they go up a size. There's adjustments that can be made to the opening of the boot, so that they can get in, get their foot in there, and get it to fit correctly. But again, getting going to a good boot fitter, I think, is key. Having them assess your foot, where the problems are with your foot. They can pull out a couple of suggestions, try a few of them on, see which one fits the closest with, again, that snug handshake type feel to the fit. And then if there are little areas that, your navicular or your bunion, they can punch and grind those so easily now. They can make those custom adjustments. So just not going too big, I think, is key.
Angelo usually doesn't have a big boot.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I could put my boots inside your boots.
Probably. Pretty close, man. Pretty close.
Oh, you said you were 23.5, but one of my big initiatives and pushes with our group has been 22.5s in all the women's boots, and we're getting there. We've got this new Cochise collection that came out, 22.5, yay! All the Mach 1s, Mach Sports, true 22.5s. So we're making progress.
Yeah. There's some cool things that I know my Mach 1 here in the background has this year. It might have had it last year, but I didn't think it did. Was the that nice stuff they put in that keeps your feet a little warmer. The Cillian, as I say that right?
Yeah.
Cillian, yeah. And that's in all of our boots liners now, isn't it?
Yeah. From, I can't remember what price point and up, but yeah, it's it started in the women's boots, and then the men complained that their feet get cold too. So, which is true.
Yeah. So I'm liking this women's technology when it crosses over, because I definitely wanted that in my boot to keep warmer.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Kind of in somewhat a simple thing, and it's like, yeah, please bring it over. So that's good.
Yeah. But again, the key thing to warm feet is a good fit. You can't have pressure points blocking off the circulation to your feet. So the better your boot fits without any pressure points, the warmer your feet are going to be, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So here's the big question. People probably, I know I want to know, what are your favorite skis and boots? And I imagine it probably changes. You probably have a quiver, I hope. But what are some of the favorites for you, and why?
So I ski in a Mach 1 LV 105. Since I've been here for 30 years, you can guess I'm no spring chicken. The Pro is just a little too stiff for me, but love the 105 LV. Fits my foot great. So that's my daily driver for boots. And then when I go backcountry skiing, I'm in the Zero G Tour Scout. So that's my touring boot. If you can only have a one boot quiver, I would definitely go with the Cochise Pro Women or the 105 Women. It's a new boot. So if you can only do a one boot quiver type thing, it's a great frontside skiing, but you can take it touring as well. But for me, because I'm lucky and work in the industry, I do the Mach 1 LV 105 and the Zero G Tour Scout Pro. For my skis here on the East Coast, I love the Black Pearl 88. I feel like I can carve, I can hold on ice. I can, if we get a little bit of snow, I can ski in that on it, chopped up crud, whatever. That thing is just my go-to ski in a 171. If we get a little more snow here on the East, I love the Shiva 10. Super fun ski for those few powder days that we get here. And I think, I used to think if I lived out West, I'd actually go like a Black Pearl 97 and maybe a Shiva 11, but I don't think I would. I think I'd stick with the Black Pearl 88 because groomers are groomers everywhere, and there seems to be more and more of them out West. And then the Shiva 10 for me is perfect for powder. A little wide for me, it kind of a little bit, but I guess I don't ski deep enough powder for that Shiva 11, but Black Pearl 88 and Shiva 10 are sort of my two go-tos.
I think Brenna was in that range, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Angelo, she didn't like the real wide. She loved that 88, and she very infrequently went wider. She had some wide, I think the Shiva, the wider one, but wasn't on it as much as the Black Pearl.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Yeah. But that Black Pearl is just that, it doesn't matter. Also looking at a lot of different women, the level of skiing, it's like whoever gets on that loves the versatility in that ski, I think.
Yeah. And again, them being the cores being made and adjusted by length makes that ski super accessible to a wide range of skiers. That 177, that's that's a beefy ski, for that
Yeah.
expert, really hard charging female skier. It's a lot of ski, and then you get down into the 165 or the 159, it starts to, for that size and strength of woman, it's tailored to them. So it's super versatile.
Yeah. So the fun trip just happened. I did watch a couple on Facebook. You posted a couple of things when you're in Europe this past week, and it must have been awesome to go over and just ski with some of the, I mean, be on snow. Number one, we were very jealous, I have to say that, but to ski with some of the athletes and to hear what they say about the equipment. And I'm curious as to what kind of comments you hear from some of our high level athletes that are skiing on our gear, and then some folks that are right off the street, or some of our PSIA members that might not be at that level. Do you hear similar things? Are there interesting differences between them and how they describe the skis and boots?
I think it sort of varies and depends on how much, when you're testing with people, they need to be able to describe what they're feeling. And a lot of times our engineers can then interpret that. I remember skiing with one of our engineers and saying, this ski, it feels like I get partway through the turn and then it flattens out and then it keeps going. And he goes, oh yeah, that's because they constructed it this and this way. They can take what I'm feeling and explain why it feels that way, which is really interesting. So, a lot of our athletes and ambassadors, it's amazing what they can feel. I mean, they can feel some things that I can't. Just, whether the initiating the turn, what's happening in the tip, what's happening throughout the turn, how it releases, how it performs in different conditions. So it's really fun to ski with them and listen to what they're saying and then try to feel it myself. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't, but I'm getting a little bit better at it the more you do it. So I think sometimes, if you think about a general consumer, they may not understand what they're feeling. They just know they feel comfortable on it. But it's super fun to try to point things out, like, well, do you feel if they start to think about it more, like, okay, how does this feel when I'm starting the turn? Can I turn it easy? Once they start thinking about it, I think they can start feeling things. But, a lot of it is just, does it feel stable? Am I comfortable at speeds on this? Does it turn easy? Can I stop? Things like that. So yeah, there's definitely some differences. And the more you do it and talk about it, the more you sort of start to feel it.
Angelo's wheels are turning. I know as soon as we get into that sensations and feelings and style.
Well, yeah, I did have a question though. I would venture a guess that men have a tendency to buy up, the stiffest boot, the beefiest ski, just for the machismo factor. And Leslie, I wonder if you see a trend in women either buying up or buying down based on some force.
So studies have shown that women tend to underestimate themselves and usually buy a ski too short because they're nervous or think they're not going to be able to turn it. But then if it's too short, it's not stable. It doesn't feel great if you start to get it up to speed. So, and skis are so much easier to turn now and initiate that turn that you don't, again, like buying a boot too big, you don't want to buy a ski too short because you're just going to outgrow it. It's not going to feel stable if you start to, push it a little bit. Yeah. And men tend to overestimate themselves. It's a generalization and it's probably, hopefully we're getting to a point where women are actually saying, hey, actually I am better than, they think I am, or I think I am. So that's what's so important about the education part of it too.
I see a lot of instructors on my staff too, probably typically women, but some men also, who will buy, a teaching boot and a soft ski because they're in them all day. But what happens is that's what they then go free ride in.
Oh.
And so I think they undercut themselves in terms of their own development because of the teaching gear. And I just want to say it for, listeners to hear. My most comfortable boots have been the stiffest boots I've owned, but because they were fitted by a good boot fitter.
Exactly.
And just to touch back on your point of how important that is to take the time and make the investment time-wise and money-wise. And usually for us in Southwestern Pennsylvania, it involves a drive somewhere, and maybe an overnight. But if you're going to have them for 3 or 4 seasons, then that's totally worth it.
Yeah. I mean, I get in my boots in the morning. I buckle them once. I don't even unbuckle them at the bottom. I've got just the perfect snug fit, and I'm comfortable all day long. And I would think you could, and I don't know how you teach and demonstrate in a boot that's soft and too big and mushy. And I got to believe that demonstration part's pretty important too when you're teaching.
Yes, it is. So were there some exciting things in the Europe trip? Like, I mean, what kind of, I know you can't give away all the secrets, but there's got to be some things that you're, because you're not out there on the Phoenix right now. I imagine you're probably, unless you're doing some testing to see what they think after it's finished, but there must be some new things in the pipeline, or at least some thoughts or creative things going on that we can look forward to next year, the year after.
Yeah. Actually, it's interesting because Phoenix, we will get the girls on that in our upcoming focus group. Because of COVID, we weren't able to do the testing that we normally do. So we just want to make sure everybody understands that ski. And just taking True Blend, look for things to happen with True Blend, where else we're going to put it in the different collections and how we can affect the performance of the different skis. So yeah, there's some new things we tested. I'd have to blow up this podcast if I told you what they were. But,
I figured that. I had to try.
I know, nice try.
I think the FCC is trying to get us off the air anyway, so it's just a matter of time.
And so I know you can't give the secrets to that, but what are some of the ways creatively that, I mean, we know we put them on the equipment and have them go out and try it, but are there some neat ways you figured out to get more information from the testers, or have you changed the testing and discussions since the Women to Women program started with all the focus groups? Is it more, has it evolved in a certain way that it's easier to get the info, or you doing it a different way?
Like I said, I think just over time, the women have gotten better at feeling things and talking about things and understanding the collection and understanding this True Blend wood core and what it can do. So the more we do it, the better we get at it. I wouldn't say there's been any big wholesale changes in how we're doing it. It's just getting out there, skiing on it, putting it through its paces, fast, slow, slide, carve, different conditions, just putting it through its paces and seeing how each ski performs in the different conditions, speeds, turn shapes, things like that. So yeah, it's just, we've improved with the group and hopefully getting better at giving feedback to our designers and engineers.
So as we move forward with the Women to Women program, and we're moving a little bit where we can start to do things like get together and do more events. What are some of the thoughts for the future? I know, we talked earlier in the podcast, definitely big on the education and trying to empower women with the scholarship thing. Are there any events that are in the works of being thought of or pushed forward, maybe in conjunction with PSIA or?
Yeah, I think we're still, I hate to say this, but with COVID, I think things and big gatherings are still a little bit up in the air. I'm trying to do some retail events, and again, not sure what we can do in store with retailers, just given different people's philosophies and rules around that. So I think we're going to be tiptoeing back into events. I think it's so important for us all to get together and ski together if we can. But again, big crowds and small spaces we're not there yet, I don't think, unfortunately, but we're getting there soon. And I can't wait till we can just, I know that the PSIA women's program has done an event alternating West Coast and East Coast. They had to cancel it last year and did it virtually. I went to Snowbird 2 years ago, I guess, and then did a tech talk there, and looking forward to being able to get those events back going again. But I think we just have to play this winter by ear. As long as we can get out and ski, and that's a good start.
Yeah, definitely a good start. Angelo, you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, just Leslie, you mentioned other sports. You said you did some wakeboard instruction, correct, at the beginning of the
windsurfing.
Windsurfing, sorry.
Windsurfing, yeah. Years ago.
Do you see, are you involved with, or do you see similar trends in other sports?
Yeah, I just think throughout, I think there's a lot of things going on with women in general. and not just in skiing. I know a lot of the other brands are really pushing women's programs now. You know, I have to give my hats off to K2, who started the K2 Alliance years ago, but they sort of dropped off that program a little bit. But now everybody's really stepping in, and I think it, you know, yeah, it's more competition for Blizzard Tecnica women's program, but it's good for women in the long run. The more brands that understand and see that, you know, women are an important market. And I think there are other sports, you know, you see it in soccer, equity in soccer, you see, you know, there's a whole movement in all sports. So yeah, it's good for women.
Yeah. I know we're lucky in the East Coast to have some pretty powerful women, Murmur and Kathy Brennan and Sue Kramer, keep us in check.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. Very easily in check, I think. So I wanted to kind of finish with a little discussion on, I heard it a lot when we had our rep get together with Joe Sipe, and it was about fun, and that there was really a thought process on, it seemed to me there was a thought process on producing product that was fun. It wasn't just about like what held the best, what flexed the best. It was boots and skis that people had fun on in the different areas of skiing, whether it be backcountry, on piste. How much is that, have you heard and you kind of pushed through the focus groups of what was the most fun ski, or what did you enjoy the most? Is that part of it?
Yeah, I think that's part of the feeling that you have with it. I think it's, you know, you get your boots on, they feel good, they fit good, and then they perform well, and then you don't think about them for the rest of the day. And same with the ski, you get on a ski, you're confident, you know it's just going to take you wherever you want to go. And then you can focus on your friends that you're skiing with, and, you know, the run that you're going to go down, and you're not worried about, oh my God, is this going to hold? My feet hurt, things like that. So I think once you get the right equipment and the skis and the boots that fit you well, and you have trust in, you feel confident on, then you can focus on the other things. It's a beautiful day, you're with your best buddies, you're going to go try this trail or go over here, or go explore in the backcountry over here, and you're not worried about your equipment. That all contributes to just having a great day out there. And skiing is fun.
Very much so. So Leslie, I want to thank you for being with us today. And Angelo and I want to put in our invite. We hope to have you back at some point, if it's hopefully before the end of the season, maybe talk some more things, and maybe there'll be some future stuff coming out. Usually there's some new things that come out in January, February. So maybe we can chat about that.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been great. Chatting with you guys.
It's been awesome. And this year's great with Blizzard Tecnica helping us out, Nick's Boot Fitting being friends of the podcast and sponsoring us. So we're really psyched to have that partnership, and glad that you came on. Hope everybody out there has enjoyed today's podcast. This is The Fall Line with Chaos and Company.